In this video, I'll introduce static methods and variables. The Java language allows you to declare a variable or method as static, meaning that you can access it without creating an object instance of the class. Sometimes these are referred to as class variables or class methods. Making a variable for method static means that it belongs to a class and gets shared by all objects belonging to that class. It's not unique to an object instance, and it can be accessed without instantiating a class. For comparison, a static variable is shared by all the objects in a class, and an instance variable is unique to one object. In this example, the class item sizes in the top code window contains two static variables of type string, mSmall and mMead, on lines 2 and 3. These refer to a specific men's size, and their values can be used without instantiating item sizes. The second code window shows an item object being instantiated on the first line, and then the setSize method of the item object is invoked on the second line, passing in item sizes mMead as an argument. In the third code window, we see the item class. It contains a string field called size on line 2. The setSize method created on line 3 requires a string parameter to set the field size. Variables and methods that are unique to an instance are referred to as instance variables or methods. If they're accessed from an object or another class, you can qualify the reference with the object reference. The first line here demonstrates how to create a static variable, and the second line a static method. And in both cases, you use the static keyword to start with. When you access a static variable or method from an object of a different class, you qualify the reference with the class name as shown here, itemSizes.setMSmall, men's small, or itemSizes.mSmall from another class. Or, if you're within the class, simply mSmall or setMSmall, and that's men's small. We don't need to qualify it using dot notation because we're referencing the static variable or method from inside the class. Also note that the main method, which is the entry point to an application, is an example of a static method. Because it's static, the Java runtime can implicitly invoke it on a class without first instantiating the class. In terms of when to use static methods or fields, there are a few rules. First, performing the operation on an individual object or associating the variable with a specific object type isn't important, but accessing the variable or method before instantiating an object is important. In addition, if the method or variable doesn't logically belong to an object, but might belong to a utility class such as the math class included in the Java API, then you should use static, and if you're using constant values such as math.py, you should use the static approach. Instance methods can access static methods or fields, but static methods cannot access instant methods or fields. Why is this? Well, this example illustrates why a static method isn't allowed to access an instance method or field. Item ID, which is created on line 2, is an instance variable, meaning that each item object has its own unique item ID. In this example, its value is set in the constructor. The getID method on line 6 is static, so it can be invoked even if no objects called item are created. Instance methods and fields are only available by referencing the individual object instance. This code example shows a more complex example of an item class that has an instance variable, instance item ID, and a static variable, static item ID. In its main method, it instantiates an object referenced by item 01, which you can see in the red box. So, looking at the 6 lines of code, there are reasons why some work and some don't. In line number 1, static item ID is a static variable and referenced from within a static method, main, so it doesn't need to access an instance. Line 2 demonstrates an instance variable and referenced from within a static method, main, so it can't be accessed unless a reference points to the particular object whose instance variable needs to be set. Line 3 is a call to an instance method and referenced from within a static method, main, so it can't be accessed without a reference. Line 4 is a call to an instance method, but in this case the reference points to the particular object whose instance method needs to be called. Line 5 refers to a static variable, but it's referred to from an instance, and instances can always access static variables. In line 6, the reference is to an instance variable, but is referred to from an instance. No object reference is given, so it accesses the instance variable on the object itself.